Yep.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:05, and if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and we do have all board members. I know some of our students are not here. All of our students are not here tonight, but it is summer, and I know some of them are in Costa Rica. Mr. Stump, we don't have any, do we have visitors?
Nope.
Okay. All right, I will go ahead and take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dina, second by Amy. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, first on the agenda is reports, and Mr. Stump, I'll pass it over to tee up our facilities project report.
So I'll start by kicking this off. Union negotiations went long, so I feel like a little discombobulated. That's what a meeting at 5 o'clock was for. So bear with me as we sort of work this out, our details. The first one I'm going to invite up is Teresa Harsha. She is a culinary teacher, so you can make your way up here. At our last steering committee meeting, we heard Pamela was there, and Kurt and Ross weren't there, but she again, Pamela reiterated the fact the board would like to hear that our staff feels involved, feels heard in the design development process. This isn't just architects coming in and designing what they think is best for us. And so you heard from April Kenny, early childhood teacher, last session. Today you're going to hear from two people. Teresa's going to start us off, and then Patty Buell, food service, because it involves the whole building. We actually look at the design for food service and see the implications, but Patty will talk about where they are in the design development. But Teresa is going to start us off for just 2 minutes to talk about how their experience has been for culinary staff and what's worked well and not. So I'll turn it over to you, Teresa.
Thank you. Our first meeting with the designers was April 9th, and May 9th, and they proposed their plan, what they thought we wanted. And we got in there and we just simply said, this isn't going to work, because we needed, and if you know about our classes, we needed a shared space for storage. And they actually had us separate from each other. So that was our big concern, storage, and we'd be close to each other. So then when we came back, May 21st, they had completely revamped their plan based on what we said we needed. So now our classrooms are next to each other. We have shared storage in between those two classrooms. So we're not spread out from each other. And we're not hauling supplies back and forth down the hallway, getting what we need. So it was refreshing to see that they actually took into account what we needed, what we wanted. The big thing was part of the design of ventilation. Not quite sure about that, but they designed the rooms around that. So even taking into account, I don't know, the extra design work it might have been for those needs. We are trying to eke out as much storage space as we can. And we were looking at, well, if we move this a foot, we gain this here, we lose. We're just really looking closely at that. And the architects, they were great. They played along, moving stuff. Would this work? Would this work? So I think we finally got it down to where it needs to be. But our classrooms, between culinary classes, child development classes, fashion design classes, interior design classes, we just have a lot of stuff that we need to find room for. And because we co-teach those classes, to go back and forth getting supplies from each other just wasn't ideal. Also, they were able to build in an outside entrance so that we could bring our groceries right into the storage, which when you think about, probably wasn't that big a deal, But I was shopping this year for 30 labs. I know Gabrielson was shopping this year for a lot of labs. So we have to take each ingredient times 30 to make sure that we have enough. So when you think about that, it ends up being a lot of groceries. I actually have to bribe my kids. Come bring the groceries in with me. I'll buy you candy. I'll buy you a pop at the grocery store. It works out. But they've done an excellent job. I can't, thank them enough for their listening ears and then applying what we not asked for, but kind of encourage them to. Also, the Breezy Point head chef has been coming in during all of our design meetings, and he's really given some input on what we need to make it work. And we're planning, this is what we need right now. We're thinking, how is programming going to look 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and just trying to keep that in mind as well.
So I will add, thank you, I will add one more thing. ATS&R never asked me to do this at all. This was in response to Pamela, and I told Teresa, I'm like, hey, if you feel differently, that's all good. You can come just share your thoughts. This wasn't meant to be an infomercial, but I do think the staff involvement, I would say, carries over from group to group in the idea that they are listening and changing designs based upon it.
And just one more thing, I think our final design meeting is June 26th, and we were tasked, this is what we're tasked with. You think about storage, you think about your classroom space, what you need it to look like. So they really are taking our needs into consideration with their planning. So, very excited.
Thank you. It's great to hear, obviously, that you're feeling heard and that's being incorporated. But any other questions, Kurt?
Madam Chair, thank you for what you're doing. You're right, planning in that capacity. I've driven Patty crazy, making sure that she's got freezer and cooler capacity. You can always find a place to stack a bunch of cans and, cases of this, that, and the other thing. But if you think you got satisfactory cold and freezer and cooler storage?
Well, I think
you'll get there?
Yeah.
Good, because here's the thing, my dad was a developer a little bit. He said there's three people you never give a blank piece of paper to: an architect, an engineer, or an attorney. So now that you're giving them that stuff on that paper, that's really critical.
I made notes so I didn't forget anything.
Rob, sorry.
I'll get back to you.
So,
Okay.
yeah, they've been great.
Thank you.
All
Any
right.
other questions?
Good morning.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to look to Eric. We do have Travis from Contegrity here. We've got Patty here. Do you want them to both come up at this time? Would you just like one of them? Because we have two sort of different parts of this. Eric is going to present some financial stuff and where we are in some of the design, and then we're going to meet our construction management firm and start to learn more about them, build a relationship with them. So how would you like this to roll out, Eric?
I think it might just be easiest if I just roll through my little presentation and then we can build off of that, I guess.
Great.
Mike.
So we'll have Patty come up at this time, and then we'll roll through.
Yeah.
She's part of your presentation.
Yep.
Great.
And then I've got our food service. I think it's slide number 6 here.
Yep. You can start up here.
So Patty can come up and.
I'm actually going to present it on my screen because it shows up bigger. If that's okay.
Oh, okay.
You just tell me when we're ready for the next slide.
Okay, so this is, first slide here. So that's our, we're doing our update here for June. And basically looking at the agenda here at slide 2, we're looking to go through the kind of a schedule summary, kind of where we are with our progress of our design. We do have a couple of projects that are under construction right now with the chiller and the HVAC replacement at the high school, middle school. And so I'll give you a little update on where we are with those. We'll also provide an update on our design meetings. You got a little graphic that shows you who all we've met with and kind of how we're keeping track of that, making sure we're talking to all the right people at the right time. And then we'll do we have a little design highlight that we'll share with you, and that'll be with Patty there, where we'll talk about the serving area and the development that we've been working with. And then finally, a project budget summary, kind of a breakdown of the review and comment numbers, and kind of packaging them into 4 projects that we'll be looking to get done over the next couple of so that's my agenda here. Starting off then with the scheduled benchmarks. We've obviously begun the design for the high school and the elementary. A couple of corrections here. I do have the issue dates staggered a little bit now, so the intent here is to get the high school and the middle school and the elementary kind of staggered a little bit to offer some more opportunity for those contractors who would like to bid on both of them, where if we had them a little closer together, maybe it's not quite as easy to get those bids together, because we do know that takes an awful lot of work to do that. The construction for those projects would be in the summer of 26 and 27. I do believe that I have the 25th and 26th on the slide that Kurt's showing, but that will be the next 2 summers of the 26th and 27. We're looking to pull out the transportation building and the transportation garage and the maintenance building into a separate little package. That project could then easily be done late in the summer or even in the fall. It's not quite as impacted by the school schedule as obviously the elementary and the high school, middle school are. So it seemed prudent to pull that little scope of work out. It has been part of the high school, middle school project officially. The other piece that we're looking to pull out is the Echo building, the removal of that building. We're wanting to get that done this fall yet, having that removed. Partially because we feel that it is a key cog in the machine here, where that Echo building site can not only be it can become our staging site for construction, for deliveries, for any of those construction needs. We'll also, of course, need to sequence the other parking lot portion of the project, so that would remove a portion of the parking lot. There's construct the addition that we have adequate parking on across the entire site during construction. So there's some sequencing there that we're going to be definitely needing to develop and to assure us that that's the process. You can see we're starting to move through design development with middle school. We're at about 30% complete right now with that process, and then the Eagle View Elementary, we're at about 50% DD. A little bit smaller project, so it's easier to get a little bit more going with moving parts from the high school, middle school. All right. Any questions about this schedule?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Eric, Kurt Johnson, if you can't, I don't know if you can see us or not, it doesn't matter. With respect to the Echo building, you're gonna hate this question. Is there any possibility of salvage on that building? Not for us, just to offset the cost of demolition.
Perhaps. I have not done a full survey on that one since our initial walkthrough, but if there was anything that could be salvaged, we could identify those items.
Well, I also know it's a bag of hornets too.
Yeah. So, yeah, we will definitely look for those kind of opportunities, but ultimately, I think we're just looking to remove the building in its entirety, cap all of the utilities properly, and level that site.
Well, obviously the mechanical, electrical, some of that stuff, if there's any salvage, obviously we probably want to do that rather than throw in a dumpster, but those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Sure. Noted, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I thought you had a question. Other questions? Okay, we can keep going.
All right, so, progress update across all of the projects here. The elementary chiller project, honestly, is ahead of schedule right now, and it's in its completion. The chiller is operational, but, we're working on getting, the controls set up for that and the graphics for those controls, be set up, and then we would issue the substantial completion for it. So we're waiting for just a couple items on that one. Pequot Lakes, High School, Middle School HVAC project. That one is also on schedule, and we're looking to, still have that complete mid-August as we had planned. We do have a survey, the survey out, I believe that will be to the board tonight, and so we look to get those ordered, this week. That survey company is, Stonemark, locally there in Pequot. And, so they had done the surveys previously and are able to simply update the ones they've got on their records and get us some updated ones for our projects, this time. We've also identified soil boring locations, and we're looking to receive proposals for that now. Multiple soil borings around the site at the high school, middle school, and then around the additions and the parking lot for the elementary school. All right. Next then is the design meetings update. Okay. So you can see, I think you can see where we're at here. We've had a lot of meetings with many different groups as required here for the design development. We have had to follow up with several of them just to kind of keep ahead of the design, so we don't get behind. Making sure that we're getting the right answers at the right time, and some of them have taken some additional iterations to get to that point where everyone's comfortable with where we're at. I will say that this is no small task in pulling the staff together and all of the different individuals that, whether it be our Breezy Point guests or our welding experts and so on and so forth, or even the community theater group that we brought in, pulling those together this spring. I just a big thank you to Aaron and Mike and Melissa, because I know this is a busy time of year, and doing this on top of it was much appreciated, and certainly has been a great benefit to our design. But we are queuing up for our design development number 3 meetings. Those would be on the 26th and 27th here in a couple of weeks. So yeah, moving right along. I'm feeling really good about the directions that we're creating. Right. So this is slide number 6 here, our food service development, and Patty's here to kind of help walk us through it.
Can I preface one thing by saying this? We're bringing this to the board not to have 7 members of different input. Have you thought of this, thought of this, which we would love to take, but it's gonna be long in a board meeting. I think our purpose of bringing this to the board is that you can see some of the behind the work, and we'll highlight one project of it. I think we're open to questions we can answer, but we could be here probably for 2 hours if we wanted to discuss exactly taco bar line where salad bar should go and all this other stuff. But we just wanted to give you an inside look at this. So
Yeah.
I'll turn it back over to you two.
Yeah, so maybe Patty, I'll just kind of set you up here a little bit. We went through literally dozens of options and iterations, and initially we were looking at taking over the staff lunchroom and perhaps the toilet rooms, and looking to create a larger serving area in here and try to get more students in there off the road.
Eric,
I know that.
Eric, maybe you should just pause, just so we're all grounded. I'm not sure if board members know specifically about it, but he's talking. This is our current serving area that we have, right? People enter there. At one point, the plans originally were to take over the staff lunchroom, go all the way, increase this area, is what he's referring to. Take out the bathroom so students could enter back here and just have more space there. Because currently, lunchbox is somewhere down here in the old concession stand area by the auditorium. So, does everyone know then where we are, sort of, when we talk? Perfect. Sorry.
Good job, Kurt.
Go right ahead, Eric.
Thank you, Kurt, thank you. Yeah, so ultimately what we're looking to do is take over the cyber cafe. And, with the extension of the common spaces behind that we're gonna be creating kind of behind the high school office space, we felt that it was all right to take this space over, ultimately because of its location and its direct connection to that cafeteria. And so the solution that we're developing here is an option where we have multiple entry points and larger queuing areas, and with the intent of getting those students out of that hallway and into the serving lines or into the serving area quicker and a little bit more efficient. So I think what you'll see is a very big improvement from what you've been experiencing these last few years over here. So, yeah, if you've got any additional comments, Patty, please.
Yeah, I
please
do. My thoughts really mirror Teresa's, that I'm very happy with the input that I've been given, been allowed to give, and then they take that and go back to the drawing board. I was here for the renovation 10, 12 years ago and didn't get this. I got to give my input, but it wasn't taken. And I firmly believe that because of that, today we're in the problem that we're having. Our biggest problem is getting kids through the lunch line fast enough so that they have enough time to sit and eat. With these new plans, I really feel it's gonna get them in faster, through the cashier faster, and sit down faster. So I'm happy with it. I'm actually, tomorrow, Aaron, my food service coordinator, and I are actually gonna move all the equipment that we have in there right now and kind of lay out what their last drawing is and really make sure that's gonna work for us. But they've been very accommodating, listened to everything we've said, and gone back to the drawing board several times, which I'm not sure if that was proper, but they keep doing it. If any of you know me, it's really not gonna stop until I'm happy. So they're making me happy, so it's all good.
And I will add, again, we've used terminology that I'm not sure. Cyber cafe, that terminology was used, again, that's the carpeted area that's across from the food service area, that we have a non-carpeted area and the carpeted area. So that's what this represents, the cyber cafe, if that's helpful.
So Mike O'Neill has been involved on our committee too, and his purpose is kind of to help us with the flow. Where are kids coming, where are they going, where are they coming out? That's his part of it, the flow. So it's one hallway, a lot of kids, how will we line them up, et cetera. So he's been a big help too. Overall, I'm very happy with the project.
Any questions or comments?
No, I think, again, no matter if you're talking about food service or you're talking about culinary, you're talking about CTE or early childhood, I think we're trying to go there with a vision of flexibility and design spaces for later. So even within food service, what does that mean for food service flexibility? They talked on a day where there's tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches, where it's extremely popular, then they could alter how kids will go through that area in the soup and sandwich line, because they already know what's popular and what's not popular. And same thing with the hot lunch and taco bar.
Don't say any of my lunches are not popular.
Yeah, exactly. Some are more than other ones. So even when you think of food service area and you look at this design, they've tried to account for how this can change depending on what's served in what area,
Yep.
I'll say.
Agree?
Thank you.
Am I done?
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Patty.
You're welcome.
You got enough freezer space?
Yes, thanks, Fred. If I don't, I will call you.
Yep.
Well. Okay, back to you, Eric.
All right, thank you. So I'm on the project cost detail, the review and comment breakdown. And I have two slides in a row here of the same thing, but I've enlarged things on the second one. So maybe that's the one to look at. So it's a little bit easier to read for this presentation.
Yes.
But just for your record, I just wanted to have all of the numbers in there for your reference. So ultimately what we've done is we've taken the review and comment and then started to package it into the 4 projects which I just previously outlined. But you can see that there's a portion of the work that the school district itself is taking on or is being responsible for. So in our project, we obviously have the additions, the remodeling, the deferred maintenance, but in those numbers was at the elementary was the playground equipment, and it was the cost for the roundabout, and it was some additional turf restoration projects, some irrigation. So those dollars amount add up to about $911,000. And so our project, what we are going to be designing, or what we are designing for, is that $8.1 million number. So taking that same approach to each of these then, the high school, middle school project, again, there's some field work that, some site irrigation and some turf, some seeding and some stuff like that. Some fencing replacement, that's all gonna be part of the school district's portion, along with, we had a dollar amount in there for some land acquisition, and obviously that has already occurred. And so that is part of that number as well. We have then set aside the maintenance building and the transportation garage into their own buckets. And the school district honestly has done a couple of the items that we had identified. So that's all that has been taken care of. There are some additional items here which Mike Renford and his team will be taking care of. And then finally, we had the demolition of the Echo building as part of that high school, middle school, and that is getting pulled across here into its own little package. Ultimately, so what we're designing for are these construction costs. So that's what we're trying to identify when we try to price out our sets, our designs. We're trying to understand what the number will be on bid day. The project costs, which are the fees, the permits, the surveys, the soil borings, FF&E, our technology line items, even our contingencies, those are all part of our project costs. And those are obviously added on to that number at the bottom here. So this is the breakdown and the basis for our cost estimating. Any questions on this?
No questions, but can I add one comment?
Yes,
So,
please.
the last agenda item is to talk about a meeting next week, because like Eric has said, the district is taking on, one of the things we're taking on is seating, fencing, baseball, softball, playground areas, stuff like that. So we're taking that on. We're getting bids right now, and we plan to bring some project cost and some approvals to you next week. So that's why at the end of this board agenda, one of the reasons is for that agenda item. And again, I think we're being good financial stewards of our district's taxpayers, because again, we can't take this all on ourselves, but there's the playground, which again, then we're not paying ATS&R a fee to design a playground that's already been designed, that we already have access to. Same thing, we're putting a little bit more on Tom Nelson to do some bids for fencing and to do a little bit of design work, and we're working with some different people, but
Is that permanent fencing?
it's, yes. Yep.
Not any of this silt fencing for construction?
No.
phase? Okay.
No, we're talking field fencing,
Right,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're willing to take that on because we feel like we have internally the staff that can do that, but we're trying not to bite off a huge chunk there, just trying to be responsible. Again, taxpayers' money, so. Back to you.
All right. So my final 3 slides are just kind of to show you, or kind of illustrate how we're tracking our dollars, our square footage allowances that we've been developing with the staff, with the team. And then obviously we don't wanna overbuild, we wanna make sure that we come in on budget and on time. So we track, at ATSR, we track our projects based on additions, square footage, renovation, that includes plumbings, where we're actually like cutting the floor out and we're putting, plumbing in place, and so that's a certain level of renovation. There's major remodeling, which is where we're taking a space and we are turning it into something completely new. We're moving walls, we're changing ceilings, sprinkler piping's getting moved. I mean, that's just a major renovation. We have moderate renovations, which is where, perhaps we're moving a wall, but maybe the use of the space isn't changing that much. And then minor remodeling, that's basically a finish upgrade, where we've got a room, we just need new ceilings, new walls, new lights, and new floors, and that'll get the job done. And then obviously we have a demolition. So what we do is we identify a square footage that's associated with the work, and then we start to track it. So for the upper floor of Eagle View, we have a 3,500 square foot addition that will be up on that upper level. It is important to note that all of our deferred maintenance items are obviously in addition to this, but this is just how we're tracking our addition and remodeling numbers. So just as far as additions and remodelings at the main level of the elementary is simply an addition. Then when we move down to the lower level, there's obviously an addition down there of 3,500 square feet. We are going to be leveling this tiered computer lab, so we'll be taking that floor out and putting in a new floor. The wall and the ceiling will all be preserved as part of that, and also all we'll be attending to is the floor, so I only have minor dollars in for that one. We will be going into the locker rooms and removing the showers that are on that corridor wall there. One of them will become a freezer cooler, and the other one will become some storage space. So that's major remodeling, 350 square feet combined there. As we move into the high school, middle school, again, tracking our square footage and making sure we're not over designing. 9,200 square foot addition for that gym multi-purpose space, an addition of a high school main office, and a CTE addition. So those are obviously the primary additions. And then we got quite a bit of remodeling, starting with our CTE repurposing. We are going to be cutting some floors at these locations where we have to get plumbing in for art sinks and for fact sinks. Art. We'll be cutting some floors when we repurpose the art lab for science, where we're going to have to create some science lab stations there. And obviously some major remodeling associated with plumbing associated with those toilet rooms. And then some major conversion at those existing robotics labs, existing fax labs, and classrooms. The cyber, well, we'll keep calling it the cyber cafe, but that collaboration area that's carpeted that we are going to be converting, we will be cutting up some floor in there. So that we have about 1,000 square feet in that location, and then the existing serving area where we'll be kind of refreshing the finishes in that location, and kind of repurposing that back corridor to get queuing space for food service. Keeping track of stuff and just trying to make sure that we're staying in our budget from a design side, and then we'll start to develop those details and then work with Preston and Travis and the team to make sure that we have a project that we can have confidence in bidding. So that's the goal.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Kurt.
Eric, can you pull that last slide up? We got the 25,000 square feet that's being added on in the southeast corner. Why the gap in that? Why aren't we just, the corners are expensive, so why aren't we just running right off the Aux Gym, right out there and squaring that corner off, and getting another 600 square feet there.
Yeah, so that design decision right now is based on the necessity to create a firewall.
Is
And
that the state of Minnesota again?
that's our blessed codes, yes. So, that separation, allows us to not have to build a firewall in that
Okay.
location, and
I get
so
it.
it's reducing the amount of firewall that we have
Right,
to
because
build.
we got a common wall there, then we gotta prevent, yeah, I get it.
Correct.
Other questions? Okay, well, we appreciate the updates. Mr. Stump, anything else?
No.
Okay. All right, well, throughout the project, the board will be getting updates, but obviously if there's questions, it can be directed to Mr. Stump. Next, it looks like it's your report.
Nope, I think then we're gonna bring up Travis, and we have, Preston online. Later in the agenda, you are actually going to, be asked to consider the construction management agreement with R.A. Morton and Associates LLC, that's letter D on the agenda. So, we've worked with our attorney and Preston and Travis on the AIA document, which is a construction management advisor document, and you can come up here, and Preston wanted to be here, was unable to, but he's still joining us virtually, and I think we can answer questions if you have on the AIA document. I'll speak publicly. I think we all felt good leaving negotiations for the document. I think our attorney, on behalf of Kevin Kennedy and Graven, felt extremely pleased with the process and the workability, and we had one meeting and then worked out some issues and it was done. So I feel like we're in a good spot as a district. It represents what they had their proposal to us. Maybe I'll turn it over to you guys for an introduction. Yeah, I'll start with that.
Yep, easy enough. I'll actually let Preston do a little bit more of the speaking, but wanted to be present. I know Eric took some time earlier today to walk through some stuff to kind of bring us up to speed a little bit on his end. And like Kurt graciously pointed out, Travis with Integrity Group and partnering with Preston here. And I know Preston's done a little more of the heavy lifting on the contractual part of the puzzle, so I'll lead that. But wanted to at least introduce myself, name and a face a little bit, and who we may be seeing floating around bugging you guys a little bit.
Yeah, and again, I apologize for not being there in person tonight. I had intended to, but my things changed a little bit, so appreciate being able to visit with you virtually. And I am Preston Early with R.A. Morton. I'm the president of R.A. Morton. I'll be the principal in charge for the project, along with Travis as principals. And we went through a fairly extensive process to submit a proposal and interview, and I really much appreciate the opportunity to be working with you on this exciting project and working again with ATS&R on another project. As far as the contract goes, we had previous projects with Kennedy and Graven as the district's attorney, so that made that process very straightforward, and we really were able to shorten that timeline and a lot of the documentation. It is a standard AIA document with quite a few modifications that, basically protect the interests not only of the district, but all the parties involved. So if you've got any questions on that end of it, I'd certainly be glad to answer any of those questions. And again, extremely excited to be working with you on this project. It's just the starting where the hardest part is getting started, but once we get rolling, we're really looking forward to it.
Madam Chair, when do we ask? Do you mind?
Yeah, we'll just hold on just a second. Is there anything else we want to present before we open it up for questions?
Can you just give us a little this is the first time the entire board and our community for that, because we have people online, I'm sure watching now or later. Any background that you think is helpful? I know you Preston, you've been working with education, we did our reference checks and everything else, but just a quick background on R.A. Morton, and sometimes they're gonna hear R.A. Morton and Integrity and what that exactly means for the board's purposes, so any background information?
Preston,
Sure.
Yeah.
You will hear a little bit of differences, and the contract will be with R.A. Morton, but R.A. Morton and Integrity Group have common ownership. We are the same company have the same company ownership. And we really focus on agency construction management, which basically is the service that you've asked for and what we've been provided. Our two companies have come together and we're proposing to work collaboratively on this project with our strengths. And the reason for R.A. Morton as the lead in this project is we've been primarily focused on public education for 25 years. And it's about 95% of our work is public education. And most of that work, over 99% of that work is in greater Minnesota and districts much like Pequot Lakes. I know Kurt did a very extensive background search on us and called references and really appreciate him taking that time to do that, because it is important to know who you're working with. And as you know, I guess principals and owners of the company working with you directly, we're not just the company sending a sales team in, we're the key leaders in these companies that will be working directly with you. And I think that's a very important aspect of this. And again, our focus in public education is substantial. And but the reason for us coming together in this is we feel that even though our companies have different names, we have the same focus on our service to you as the customer. And again, you get that same ownership group that works diligently on your behalf.
Anything to add?
You nailed it, Preston. I'm just gonna sit and smile and just hang out. Yeah, no, appreciate it, Preston. Yes, I think you said it well. And although you hear two different names, we're kind of one and the same.
So at this point, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Preston and Travis, and Kurt, I guess I'd like to ask you to, I'm just gonna say this, I see this AIA document as, it's an agreement between us and RA, or is there? Because I see in the reports, there's, starting on page 23, 24, and then the following context for the next 20-some pages, there's a mountain of red line in that capacity. And I just am curious, and I don't need to, I mean, I'm curious why there's so much red line in there. And is that us, or is that your guys' attorney? I mean, who's got the red pen in this thing? Is where I'm curious. And
Very good question.
The bottom line might be, Kurt, just don't worry about it. Ken Holmes and Grave, or Kennedy, who's got it?
They did sign off on this, and we feel totally comfortable with this contract and this recommendation, but I'll turn it over to Preston.
Okay.
Yeah, Kurt, really good question. There are a lot of red lines to this, and it primarily, I would say probably 90% of those red lines were instigated by your legal team.
Okay.
Just to make sure, again, that you have your rights protected along the way. A lot of times it can be just changing a few words here and there to make it not so much a standard AIA, but more of what the Kennedy and Graven feel are the most important things.
Well,
but most of those red lines are a result of your attorney's recommendations, and we've reviewed them and feel comfortable in being able to make those changes.
Right, and I see the first part of the document up to page 27, that's our construction management agreement. And then the balance of this document is a report in some context, additions and deletions report. But yet, throughout the document, we are the owner. I see R.A. Morton as the construction manager, but then throughout the document, every now and then I'll see ATS&R. However, they're not a signatory anywhere on this thing. And again, maybe I should bring this up after the matter or behind it. We don't need to be in the weeds right now, but unless somebody's got a quick answer to that. Is this normal to have the construction manager, the architect? Because my experience has always been us and the architect, and then we have our own separate agreement with the general contractor.
Us in the district per se in that sense, but it references ATS&R, I think, throughout. That's where you might be seeing some.
Yeah, I just see a couple here, and they're not signatories either. They're just named as a party.
Yep, because they'll be assembling all these documents and they're.
Okay.
Yep, like you were thinking, just like you
Okay,
said.
okay, I think I get what you're saying, Travis. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
And just as a follow-up, if you don't mind, and we got new board members who, that haven't been part of this, we do have a separate AIA agreement with ATS&R that was approved a couple of years ago.
That's exactly what I was trying to ask too.
Yep.
So we still have
That's done
but yet they're integral into this and the role that they're gonna play in the context of an expecting architect probably, I would guess, maybe? because these are, the scope of a lot of the red line was, and commentary was in the reports and deletions, section. You know, that's the last half of the document, which I think a lot of the reporting and that stuff. Do you have any thought on this, Rob? I mean, you
No,
don't probably like it.
I can answer your
Okay.
question.
Well, he's, okay.
Let's not put public members.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Again, I just to reiterate what Preston said, every attorney, every firm has their different legalese that they like to have in these
Well, that's why I
contracts.
said what I said earlier.
Ours is like that, so Preston did our district a favor saying, cause we're paying our district attorney some time to do this, he said, what law firm do you use? Kennedy and Graven, great, we have contracts already from different school district, cause we know what language Kennedy and Graven law firm likes in there. So he started with their language that they know, he knows that they like in their contract. And so there was probably 8 items that there was some wording that we had a meeting for about 45 minutes, to be honest with you, and just talked about it, and then we went point by point, and were able to come to like, oh yeah, that makes sense why you interpreted that way and whatever else, so.
I'm happy. I mean, thank you. Appreciate it.
Other questions from the board? And as you probably noticed, this is an agenda item as mentioned, so if you have other questions, when the motion gets put on the table later,
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
come back.
Yeah, my only other, I guess, question, as we get rolling, again, we're still in the design development phase. You know, the next time we'll probably see you two at a board meeting is September-ish?
Yeah, or soon.
August.
I mean, honestly, up to you guys, as we start to develop and we can get into the estimates, kinda like, what Eric was reviewing with us earlier, when I wanna start diving in on our end, start assessing what's been drawn, kinda make sure we're at kind of that little line in the sand in the sense to say, do the numbers feel right, are they looking right from our perspective? So if the board is looking for us to come do some updates, by all means, yep, it's meant to be a whole team approach, that's our philosophy, and we really do live and breathe and die by that. That's if all of a sudden the board feels like, hey, we'd really love to see you or Preston up here. Yep, absolutely. Sneak on up and we can walk and talk through things, or if there's concerns,
Yep.
channel.
Yeah, and I would say to the board, if you have questions over the summer, definitely direct them to Mr. Stump. And I know Mr. Stump and I are discussing kind of what the right cadence and which projects will have updates for the board throughout the project, so. Any other questions or comments?
Well, they can stay for this one. Again, the only other item, that's listed as attachment under facilities project report is the monthly newsletter that we'll send out. So again, we wanna give the board an opportunity to see it first, and then this will be sent out to our parents and our community, tomorrow. I'll send this out, but again, it just walks through all the different design teams, sort of gives you a highlight of each area. Eagle View playground equipment is on schedule to be delivered early July, installation in July, with probably some grand opening in August, beginning of August. And then we'll talk about County Road 11 a little bit. Closing date is June 20th for Lakes Gas property. Sale of bonds is still on for July. Talk about construction management, and indoor air quality project is on schedule and on budget.
Great, thank you.
I think we're good with you. Thank you.
As always, appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
And I think Preston, Eric, you're probably
you.
logging off, is that right?
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Have a good night.
You guys finding places to be and stay.
All right. Mr. Stump, is it superintendent report?
It is.
I can help it all.
The first bullet I had was a legislative update, and Heidi will get into some changes, actually. Full disclosure, Heidi and I met about 10 or 11 o'clock on AM on Friday just to update a little bit on the budget. And then we talked again at like 3 o'clock that afternoon, like, oh, did we consider this? And we just, of course it goes with any budget. The budget is as good as it's going to be. There's always gonna be minor tweaks. A lot of it is legislative as it continues to play out. I'm not gonna labor that issue. The one interesting part for the board to realize, there was always a requirement if you are going to attend a public meeting, you gotta be in a public place, you gotta give our address 24 hours, or 72 hours in advance to post that. That requirement has gone away from the legislative session. So I think the interpretation, I wasn't there, I wasn't in the discussion, I'm just regurgitating what somebody told me, a legislative lobbyist or whatever else. But the idea was like, if you get sick, I mean, hopefully you can still participate in a board meeting, you don't have to be in a public place. We, of course, have to hold this meeting in a public place for them to come and, you know, watch and view it. But you don't have to give us the 72-hour notice nor post in a public place then.
Sounds like common sense
Moving
coming
forward,
with
yeah.
Zoom, which is
So-
good.
So moving forward, that's the major one that affects this board moving
Can I
forward.
clarify though, because I think, I've obviously done it a lot, because I know, but I mean, for board members, if they all of a sudden are sick, can they log in and be present without any other notice? I
Correct.
just wanna
Yes.
clarify. But is there any requirement they need to be on video, or can it be call?
I believe they need to be on video,
Okay, so just a
that we
note
have
for
to
the
see your
board.
face to know it's you.
Yeah, just a note for the board that at any time then you can log in, which actually will make it easier for everybody if you need flexibility. That's good news. Any other updates?
I have kindergarten enrollment on there, again, as we continue to watch it, as of today, 85 kindergartners and 6+6 in Patriot Academy.
And how does that fare based on what we thought? Can you just remind me?
Again, we're determining the number of sections, I think we revised our budget to be 100, so you can see we're at 91, and, you know, last week we had 3 or 4
So we're
come in, so
close-ish.
we're getting there.
Okay. Okay, and you do have the enrollment report in your packet. Anything else, Mr. Stubb, before we
No.
move on?
No.
Okay. Let's see, any questions? Can we move on? Okay, we are gonna move on to the consent agenda. And I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. So moved. Motion by Pamela,
Second.
second by Ross. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we are moving on to our action items for tonight. Letter 6A. I'm looking for a motion to approve the professional services cost share agreement with Crow Wing County regarding Eagle View Elementary School, County State Aid Highway 11, internal school and external, adjacent property and roadways, transportation planning study as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Pamela,
Second.
second by Mariah. Any question or discussion?
Yep, there's a little bit of presentation. At this time, I'll invite Rob to come up to the chairs. Rob Hall is representing Crow Wing County, who is taking the lead on this project. And again, just a little back history, we do have some money set aside for some traffic control measure. I know it was listed as roundabout, but we're not there, that's the best solution. So we're backing this up a little bit and doing an actual study, which is a joint venture between the county, the school district, the city of Breezy Point, and the city of Pequot Lakes, all on board with this. We've had multiple meetings on this. So that's why you're going to see a cost share agreement, which we are going to pay 40% of the cost as the school. County is chipping in 50% of the cost of the study. This is not the project, this is the study. And then both Breezy Point and Pequot Lakes is 5% capped at a max of $5,000. And so they're looking at internal site as well, so there's a huge benefit for us as a school district, so that's why we have 40%. Crow Wing County and Tim Bray and Rob have been outstanding partners through this situation. And I know we've done a study before, a lot has changed in the past 10 years, and trust me, they've got folders and they've got plans for that information that has happened before. So you see 2 things. You see the cost share agreement, and then the second item that you see is actually the RFP that Crow Wing County put together on behalf of our district. They have invested a lot of time in this, and saying, here's what we plan to publish then to interested parties to see if they want to, you know, bid on this design of, and getting community input. So I'm gonna turn it over to you for some opening comments or things that you'd like to highlight, and then we can open up for questions.
Well, I appreciate the school district being a partner in this. It's been as Kurt said, it's been going on for a lot of years. There's a lot of opinions and thoughts and ideas, and we'd really like to get the data, because those opinions range from it's fine the way it is to blow it up. So we'll get the data. I think in the RFP that was in your agenda, the schedule lays out pretty nice. We're going to send out the RFP this week if it's approved. And then by the end of July, we will get together with county, school, and the city, select a consultant, and get them started right away so they can see the August traffic out there. We want them to see out of school and in school. It could very well be that they propose something that looks great in October and would be not so great in July. You know, with the differing traffic movements, so. We're excited to get it going. I'm glad the RFP got in your agenda, so I don't wanna regurgitate it, but if there are any questions on that or the, cost share agreement, be happy to answer those.
I will maybe say one more comment if you don't mind, Board Chair. I think Dina's hesitation, I don't wanna put words in her mouth, but she did question last time the need for a year study, which you can see based upon the RFP, it has been shortened with, I think it's done at the end of January, which I think we're trying to match up with construction as well, because we push that out too late, we won't be able to do construction in the summer. So we're trying to match those up. I think we sort of all feel good about where they are, because designs will start to take shape in December, early January, that we would know what we can accomplish that summer. So Dina, thank you.
Thank you.
We've tried to listen to you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
go ahead. Are you gonna call for questions?
I was, but you were right there.
Well, thank you. I'm anxious. I'm excited about this. Rob, thank you for coming. It's good to see you. I see this thing is scoped where we're gonna have the proposal, content by July 16th. Have you scoped this thing? I mean, I don't question your capability. I'm not doing that. What I am asking is, this is such a challenge that, I mean, are you comfortable with the level of scoping that we've got in there for them to respond? Or is this, are you coming up with, can you explain how you came to that conclusion, please?
Yeah, actually typically on something like this, we'd look more in the 2 to 3 week response time.
Okay.
We're giving them a full month on this one. A lot of the folks we'll send this to are familiar with the issue already.
Okay.
Some we'll send it to aren't, and we talked about that at our last meeting. There's pros and cons. You could get the city engineer from both cities to propose, who knows all the background.
Mhm.
But there's gonna be an advantage to outside eyeballs also. So
Well,
we have
plus,
to weigh all
I
that.
apologize, but also getting data that you need, like do we have an accurate traffic, count, and are you aware of any recent?
For the county road we do.
Yeah.
Part of their internal site circulation will be to get those counts also within Eagle View property. Where are people going, where are they coming from, the times of day. So that month to July is, all they need to do is send their proposal in that time.
Okay, I
In the
misunderstood
workshops.
that, because we're not taking action then, you're gonna get that. Now, there'll be an opportunity to continue to supplement that
Yes.
scope of information, obviously.
Yep, yep.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you this because this is gonna be a big deal in the community. I mean, I got all kinds of people like, what are you gonna do? What are you know?
Yep.
You're gonna fix here in town and you gotta fix it. So I appreciate that, thank you.
Yep, yep.
Other questions from the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mariah.
I have a question. This is my first time with something like this. How much input will the district have? Or is this gonna be kind of out of our hands and in the county's hands on what the solution is gonna be?
No, great question. So in the RFP, we've laid out a number of meetings for the consultant to get school staff feedback from both cities, feedback from the county. We're gonna have a project management team that's already established that has all those people. Those are the people that will gather together to select the consultant, so it won't just be the county. The county is going to enter into a contract and fund the study until the end, and then we'll use that cost share agreement for reimbursement. But there's gonna be a number of public meetings held here at the school, maybe even at the cities, and we want everyone's input. And we also put in there that each board, so both city councils and your board, need to sign off on the final recommendation. So it's a solid document going forward, because we don't know if this is something that will turn into a physical improvement in 1 year or 5 years, but we want each agency to sign off on the final recommendation, and that will come as a recommendation from that project management team also.
And I just wanna remind folks that we are only approving the study, which we will cost share, so keep in mind, we get to the end, and the recommendation could be, don't do anything. I mean, we don't know, but basically, we are collecting data with multiple agencies on this project to essentially.
Or high-speed rail.
Or that, Kurt, yes. But whatever the recommendation is at that point, there will probably be another set of conversations. So keep in mind, the board is not committing to doing anything other than the study. So I think just for the public, for us, that this is step one in a pretty big project.
Yep.
So,
And two more comments, and again, so our part here is part of the bond that we had. You know, we had the money set aside for a roundabout, which who knows what, if there's going to be anything at the end, but we're taking bond proceeds to fund our part of the study. This isn't a general fund expense. And then also, I think the cool part is, we had a meeting, it's cool to have both cities on board, and there was a lot of discussion early on, and they're gonna bring it to their councils in July, but we felt good enough, because we're the major players between the city and the county, or between the school district and the county. If we're on board, they're gonna publish it to get this process moving forward. But it's been a cool meetings. They've had some board members and some administrators, depending on who they can make it there, and so I think this is a good collaboration and good example of what it takes for the entire community to review something, so.
thank you. Other questions or comments before we take a vote?
Just final comment that our people are very happy that this is happening. Thank you. Yeah, tell the folks down there. Thanks.
But not an open checkbook, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you guys get it. Come follow it, bring us.
Other questions?
Sorry, one more. Again, it's worth noting, Rob, Tim Bray have put in a lot of time on this document, or this document, they're gonna be putting a lot of time. They're not charging the district, they're just part of the study. And so I do want to thank them, because they are putting in time for our school and our community.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Perfect. Any further questions? If not, we're gonna go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our FY '26. Tonight is the night where we are looking to approve the budget. I'm gonna go ahead and look for a motion to put on the table before we start any discussion. I'm looking for a motion to approve the FY '26 budget as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Amy,
Second.
second by Pamela. And Heidi, I see you are coming up, so, I will pass it over. I'm not sure. You got a presentation?
I don't think we're gonna go through this again. I think we've
Yeah.
highlighted things in red that have changed since our work session. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Great.
So we'll just go to the slides with red.
Yeah.
If you are watching on your phone or your computer.
All right, so since I last presented the beginning of the month at the work session, as Mr. Stump alluded to, changes are in red. So compensatory funding, which is the funding we receive, also called basic skills for students that are eligible for free and reduced lunch and breakfast. Legislation has since finalized, and it has impacted the district in a positive way, although we're still going to result in about a $40,000 decrease in what we're receiving this year in compensatory funding. We previously were projecting $55,000. We also, I had also mentioned that special education transportation reimbursement percentage, currently at 100%, was finalized, and that is decreasing next year down to 95% of our total special education transportation expense. The result of that is a $22,000 decrease that was not previously included in the overall budget. Library aid, we received this year $40,000. It is decreasing by $21,000. Obviously, they're not previously reported in the beginning of the month. And Title I and Title II, federal funding is decreasing by about $55,000. We just received those numbers last week. Again, not previously included in the budget.
We just going to this then?
Go back, there was some red, right there.
Oh, yeah.
So TRA, we did discuss the fact that TRA is increasing. Currently, employer pays 8.75% of total salaries for licensed staff eligible for TRA. I had presented that it was going from 8.75 to 9.5. Legislation that was just finalized increased that 9.5 to 9.81%. So that impact to the district's total expense is $106,000. So overall, the numbers in the general fund here, which does include our Fund 8 scholarships and our Fund 9 student activities, results in about $444,000 of revenue exceeding expenditures. You can see there the nuances of the increase or decrease from fiscal year budget, a revised budget of fiscal year 25. Overall, we're decreasing our expenses just over 4.5%, mainly due to the chiller project and the playground project at Eagle View. And we are decreasing our revenue just over 1%, mostly resulting in federal aid going down and projected enrollment staying stable. This is the look at those same numbers, however, just broken up by restricted, unassigned, and assigned funds. Overall, the district's board policy is to maintain an unassigned fund balance of 15% of expenditures, which is just under 3.5 million for next year. We are projecting exactly that, just under 3.5 million next year for unassigned fund balances, utilizing all of the restricted funds that are eligible to be used for expenditures. We do not anticipate at this time assigning and or needing to use assigned funds, which then results in what's left over, which is just under 3.5 million in unassigned fund balance. Any questions on the general fund before we move on to the other funds? All right.
I think the other funds stay the same.
Yes, so all other funds stayed the same. If you just want to go to, go back to Fund 2, I do just want to move forward. Fund 2, right here. I'd just like to note the fund balance projections for food service is expected to be just over $1 million or 66%. We continue to work on a spend down plan that we report to MDE every year. And then Fund 4, we can go to Fund 4. We're projecting a slight decrease in the fund balance projections for the Community Education Fund of about 23% or $266,000. We budget our revenue conservatively based on historical trends, relying mostly on year-to-date trends. And then we have included some assumptions in there that haven't since changed, but overall, we generally expect that when we review a revised budget mid-year next year, that the community education fund will look different than what we're projecting at this time, just because of the nuance of community education being mostly driven by fees for participation in programs. And then we have Fund 6 and Fund 7, which Fund 6 is our construction fund, which is all going to be impacted by the project and the plan and so forth. So we'll have minimal expenses next year in the general, or in the construction fund, and then we will ramp up as the project evolves. And then the the debt service fund is based on the levy that the board approved last December, and it includes our expenses based on the principal and interest that is scheduled to be paid next fiscal year. It does include all of our current bonded debt. It does include the 2025 long-term facilities maintenance bond. It does not include any payments for the new bond that we're just starting to get into. That's about it.
Any questions from the board? All right, if no further questions, we do have a motion on the table. Any final questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to 6C, which is our social studies curriculum. I'm looking for a motion to approve the social studies curriculum purchase as presented. Motion by Dina,
Second.
second by Pamela. Any discussion?
I do have one comment. You saw this in the presentation mode. You didn't see this listed out necessarily per book, so it's the same thing that was discussed work session, but in an actual table with cost.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
Do you need to be?
I was just
Oh.
double checking the
Yes.
numbers for the
She's-
purchase cost.
Just looking at the
Oh, yeah.
attachments.
My computer died.
All right, if there's no further questions, we will take a vote on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we are moving on to 6D. I'm looking for a motion to approve the construction management agreement with R.E. Morton and Associates LLC per the AIA document C132-2019 as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Pamela,
Second.
second by Ross, and this was the discussion we had during the reports. Are there any other final questions or comments? Any other questions? Okay, if no further questions, I'm gonna take a vote on the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to 6E, which is the proposal, looking to accept the proposals from Stonemark Land Surveying for updated and new survey information as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Amy,
Second.
second by Kurt. Any discussion or comments? Any questions?
Comments, nice we got a local firm.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, I am looking for a motion to approve the amendment to the purchase agreement dated April 29th, 2025, pertaining to the purchase and sale of the property at 4326 West Lake Street, Pequot Lakes, Minnesota, to include a closing date of June 20th, 2025, as presented.
Moved.
Motion by Pamela,
Second.
second by Amy. Any discussion? Any discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next we're moving on to letter 6G. This is for our principals master agreement. Looking for a motion to ratify the 2025 to 2027 principals master agreement as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ross,
Second.
second by Pamela. Any discussion? Any questions or discussion? Okay, no further questions. I'm gonna go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, 6H, I am looking for a motion to approve the 2025 to 2027 terms and conditions of employment for ISD 186 unaffiliated district level employees as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Pamela,
Second.
second by Mariah. Any discussion or comment? Any questions? Okay, if no further questions or comments, I'm gonna take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Do you mind if I make one comment? I should have made it, but I think the same goes for the principals and the unaffiliated staff. We are fortunate in this district to have outstanding employees. And both these groups are represented by them. So I just want to thank them, thank the board members for your time in meeting with them and coming to an agreement or a plan, that hopefully helps them and honors their time in service to our district and balances our budget as well.
Great, thank you. Yes, I would imagine everyone seconds that.
Yes.
Perfect, we are moving on to the proposed prices. So I am looking for a motion to approve the 25-26 prices as proposed.
So moved.
Motion by Pamela,
Second.
second by Kurt, any discussion? Any discussion or questions?
There were no changes on this.
No changes since the last work session.
Any other questions? Okay, if no further questions, I'm gonna take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's see, the next item is, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the resolution certifying the population estimate for the 2025 payable 2026 levy of Independent School District 186, Pequot Lakes Public Schools.
So moved.
Motion by Amy,
Second.
second by Ross, any discussion?
I will bring our community director up, Joelle Tweets, and just give you a quick overview on why this is on the agenda.
Yeah. So we have, this is the third year that we've actually looked at doing this, and the reason we do it, so it used to be a long, complicated process. All of our individual districts had to contact the state demographer and had to say, hey, how does enrollment look, or not enrollment, but residents look, and she does her, he does her, their complicated thing, and it's become a much easier process now. So the Minnesota Community Ed Association works with the state demographer who puts together all of the districts. And so really, we look and compare what last year, what we certified, what this year, what we certified. We only have to change it once every 10 years when the new census data comes out. However, it's to our advantage if we look at it yearly, and if we have an increase, we change it. So this year, it wasn't a huge increase. I think we'll end up getting a few extra $100. Still an extra few $100 that we're not doing anything for, right? And then the advantages, so say next year, our population goes down, we're still funded at the same level that we are right now. And so that's the reason why I pay close attention to what those numbers are and do a comparison and then ask for you to recertify what our population is. So does that make sense? And any questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
where do you gather the data from?
Yeah, so again, it's a really easy process now because the Minnesota Community Ed Association just puts it all together on a spreadsheet, the information that they have, that the state demographer has put together.
Oh, so you just pull it.
So I just pull it off. I mean, they have the comparison right there for us. So I don't have to do all that digging anymore. And that's part of why we become a member of MCEA. I mean, we're getting in our money's worth, trust me, for what the organization does. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead, this is a roll call vote. Mariah?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Pamela?
Aye.
Dina? Ross?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
And I vote aye, the motion carries 7-0. Okay, next on the agenda is 6K, this is something we do yearly, I think. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the resolution designating identified official with authority.
So moved. You got it.
Motion by Kurt, or Ross?
Ross.
It was Ross, you're
It
faster.
was Ross. Yeah, he's not close to me too.
Do you wanna second it, Kurt?
Sure, I would love to.
I know you like to be
Love that
second.
support.
Yes, I do.
Kurt has seconded it. So this is an annual thing that we do. I don't know, Mr. Stumpf.
Do you want me to give you a 30-second rendition of what this is, or you all feel good?
I would.
Okay, so identified official with authority, so the state requires every school district to report way too much, like 25 different things on who's in early childhood, who's attending your school, of course, high school activities, high school courses, teacher information, special ed information. There's a bunch of different lists. So this, you're giving me the authority to approve employees throughout our organization. Some are Paul Bunyan, our education cooperative. Some of them are their employees, but you're giving me the authority to approve who's submitting information, who's the editor of the information, or who's the final approval of the information. So this is an annual authorization that every school district goes through every year.
And is it this time of year to align with the fiscal year? Is that why we do it now?
It's just required once a year. My guess is you hired me, July 1st, so I technically started July 1st, so that's when the renewal probably happens.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, if none, I'm gonna take a roll call vote. Mariah?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Pamela?
Aye.
Dina?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
And I vote aye, motion carries 7-0. Okay, next I am moving on to accepting donations. I need a motion to adopt the resolution accepting donations.
Second.
Motion by Dina, second by Amy. I'm gonna go ahead and read our district accounts. We have Kathleen Cameron, $20 for PBIS Day of Caring. Jack and Glenda Schmidt, $50 for the Day of Caring. We have the Patriot Activities Club, donating $1,518 for state tournament sweatshirts for robotics. The Pequot Lakes PTA, it's the next three, so we've got $1,344 for the 4th grade field trip, $950 for the 5th grade field trip, and $148.26 for books for Eagle View Special Ed. Angie Lippman donated an accordion and alto saxophone for the band program. Dana Buffington, clarinet, saxophone, bell set, flute for the band program. Shane Crawley, clarinet and trombone for the band program. Chris Nick, clarinet for the band program. And Bob and Lynn Sharon Brock, banjo for the band program. So we thank everyone for those donations, totaling $4,030.26. Moving on to our student activity fund accounts, Cross Lake Ideal Lions donated $2,000 for track uniforms. There's an anonymous donation for $400 for track and field programs. Pequot Lakes Dairy Queen, $609.16 for speech. Pequot Lakes Dairy Queen also donated $632.32 for robotics. The Patriot Activities Club, $750 for robotics, and Otto and Peggy Schmidt, $200 for girls basketball. So we thank everybody for those donations. The student activity fund accounts, it was $4,591.48. Any discussion or questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. Mariah?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Pamela?
Aye.
Dina?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
And I vote aye, motion carries 7-0. Let's see, we're moving on to meeting dates, and it sounds like, Mr. Stump, you are looking to add a meeting.
Yes, again, with the ball field, I just want to remind the board, because I think some of you may have got a question. Again, what was in the old plan that our community rejected before was a new baseball softball complex, $7 million there. What's in our current plan is around $260,000 to, we have some fencing that's needs upgrades and is unsafe. The bottom is curling, so there's fencing, there's irrigation to make the best use of our current property. We're not adding any baseball, softball fields off campus. We're just adding some irrigation, updating our fencing, and ensuring that our current district property is utilized the best that it can be. So like I said, there's about $260,000 in there. We're taking on this project, getting quotes, because anything over $25,000 requires a quote, multiple bids, and and that proposal, because we would like to get that work done this summer yet, and it requires board approval, of course. So we're thinking next week would be the best time frame that we'd have everything organized. We'd like to tonight, but it just wasn't gonna work.
So are we thinking 6 PM next Monday?
If that works, that would be great.
Can everyone come?
Yep.
Okay, well, it sounds like we have a majority. Yes.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
July's meeting looks to be a little packed as well. We're gonna have, you requested Fast Bridge information, we're gonna revisit the school's goals, and so you're gonna have a presentation from principals at that meeting. There's a couple other things that I feel like are gonna take a little bit of time there. I'm sorry, I'm throwing this on you, Board Chair, Bowles Andelchik.
So I have a question. I mean, in August, are we gonna have 2 meetings?
Yes.
Is there a reason we wouldn't do Fast Bridge the first week of August?
We're doing Fast Bridge looking back at last school year, and it sort of ties into their goals as well. Some of their goals involve around MCA testing, which we won't know.
So are you asking for another meeting?
Nope, here's what I'm asking for, that I'm sorry that I did not ask. Do you mind if we also do my evaluation, just because it might be a shorter meeting on the 23rd, if we have a closed session and fit that in at the end, and I can get you my self-reflections by Wednesday morning for sure, and you can get your feedback to Kim, or would you prefer that's just in July or August?
Just to clarify. Does the board need to get feedback to me in 2 days?
No, by Monday.
So we get the weekend.
I know, my brain is not operating at full speed at the moment, so, okay, how about this, how about you and I talk about that? Just-
Okay, and if we are going to have it, we will look.
Because we can add a closed session on either meeting,
Correct.
yeah, so let's
Great.
take a step back on that, but, okay, so we do have a meeting next Monday, 6 PM. And then your other board meetings to note here for the whole board, July 14th, 6 PM. And then, cause we'll just do one meeting in July as of right now,
That is
Right.
the plan.
the 14th instead of 2. You'll be gone? Okay. Just know you can remote in, otherwise we will miss you.
I'll be down the road for work, but if I can remote in, I will absolutely do that.
Just, if you get a wild hair, come on in, via the Zoom, or whatever. Okay, so we have our meeting dates, any other announcements?
I think what's not listed on here, because it got decided right before in the previous meeting, that we did add a negotiation session for
24th,
Yeah.
24th.
4 PM.
24th, which will be posted.
Yep, will be posted.
Yeah, yeah. And then, I don't know if we just wanna give a shout out, I know our girls' golf team had an excellent season. So, yes, and track, so I know we have sports that have wrapped up.
Genevieve Brooklyn, state
Yes,
champ.
yeah, which is amazing. What a way to end her career here, it's fantastic. Okay, any other announcements? It's really up to, actually, probably not, because, well, no, because Pamela can't be there. The 24th, we have to move by 6.
Yes.
That's where in my mind, I did remember
You
that.
did remember that.
There's still something on here. I don't know if we'll-
Trying to help them negotiate.
Yeah, I know, there's just a lot of meetings, but, okay, anything else? All right, if nothing else, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Kurt, is that your voice?
It is.
Okay. Second by Dina, any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, the meeting is adjourned at 7:33.
Guys, you gotta, this is serious.